everyone talking about the top 5 best woodsy fragrances. A couple caveats. One, they're not in any particular order. Two, these are all on the more expensive side. When I make these lists, I really just go by what I think is the best scent and factors like that rather than factoring that in. I always try to feature affordable stuff on my channel as well, but for these lists, I really just wanted to truly be what I think is the best. But you can also get samples or decants of any of these. And lastly, these are all, I would say, masculine leaning. Maybe some are like a little bit unisex leaning masculine. Not saying who should wear it or not, but just a heads up, if your taste is more solidly like feminine fragrances or more stereotypically unisex, you're probably not going to be as big a fan. But yeah, jumping into it. One, Hinoki and Hinoki by Sense of Wood. This has notes of white thyme, cypress, clove, olibanum, cedar, moss, cashmeran, and Hinoki. And I think this one is incredible. I know this isn't in order, but I think they would have to say this is my number one favorite woodsy scent ever. So rich and deep, but not too dark. Like, it still has this very refreshing meditative vibe to it at the same time, while also being classy. I think if you like Hinoki or cypress, must try for sure. Full bottle worthy for me, and I rarely feel that way about anything because I'm very picky about like criteria for what I like to actually wear, and just so good. Moderate longevity and projection, leans masculine, and goes for $240 for a 75 ml, or they have like travel sprays of 10 milliliter for $38. Next, Vilhelm Parfumerie, To My Father. The notes in this are Ambrette seed, bitter orange, davana, juniper, whisky, cabreuva wood, white oud, oak, and leather. So those notes did not look like my taste. And Vilhelm Parfumerie, they always smell high quality to me, but they're often kind of hit or miss for my taste. But this is for sure my favorite by them. And yeah, one of the best woodsy scents in my opinion that I've tried. There's a suave, smoky edge to it, maybe from the like peated whiskey combined with the white oud or whatever, that smells really intriguing and captivating to me. And I think it's a good combination of like, kind of cozy, but also could come across as really sexy. The bitter orange to me really doesn't get that bitter, nor is it too sweet. I think it's just like the perfect kind of touch of both sides of citrus. The Ambrette seed doesn't get too musky, and the oud is not the animalic or pungent kind at all. So I think this does such a good job of taking notes that can sometimes be like really intense or rough and just smoothing them out, but it keeps the alluring quality and like nuance. So yeah, there are even some aspects that remind me of like the smoky side of Black Eau de Toilette by Comme des Garçons, which I love. Yeah, just super well blended. Leans masculine. It is rated as Fragrantica as unisex leaning masculine, but in my opinion, it leans a lot more stereotypically fully masculine. Moderate to good longevity, moderate projection, $150 for a 50 milliliter or $245 for a 100 milliliter. Next, Become the Shaman by DSH Perfumes. Notes in this are white sagebrush, milkweed, amyris, copal, resin, Palo Santo, Gaiac wood, Peru balsam, Texas cedar, tobacco, tonka bean, and vanilla. Really nice, like fresh woods type of scent. And, so often this was a hard list for me to make because I often find like super woodsy scents either kind of too dry for my taste or like a little bit boring if, still nice. But yeah, I love the cool freshness that this one has with a subtle smokiness. It's not fiery smoke, it's more like a mild incense type of vibe. So like, yeah, if you're familiar with Palo Santo and how that kind of smells, it's calming and meditative. So the title is accurate, I would say. And it reminds me a little bit of like Hinoki and Hinoki by Sense of Wood, which I mentioned earlier. And I think this is really versatile too. Like you could wear it in casual occasions, you could wear it in formal or professional ones. Just the perfect balance between like woods, resin, and a light touch of like smooth, creamy sweetness. Moderate to good longevity and projection for most people, but it depends on your skin chemistry. That's always true with anything, but this one in particular seems to kind of be really based on that. Unisex, more so than some of the ones in this list, I would say, but still kind of leaning masculine, and goes for $100 for a 30 milliliter or $185 for a 60 milliliter. Next, En, is that how you pronounce it? En by Swedish fragrance house Svensk Parfym. The notes in this are pine tree, juniper berries, black pepper, tobacco, and oak moss. This reminds me of a less sweet version of one of my all-time favorite fragrances, which is Live in Colors by the House of Oud. This one is spicier, more like dark green, but has that similar, almost Hinoki-like invigorating freshness with a very authentic woodsy vibe, and just really good like juniper-centered woodsy taste. This seems to be a major like love-hate type of one, which I was a little surprised about with other reviews because I didn't think it smelled much like something that would be considered divisive very much. But yeah, so as with anything, I never recommend blind buys. I always recommend samples. But yeah, this is definitely leaning into that like strong, natural smelling woods kind of spice type of side. If you don't enjoy that category, this one might not be for you. Like if you don't like that kind of fresh spice, like juniper, fresh spice type of thing with woods. But if you do, I think this is so good. Leans masculine, moderate to good longevity, moderate projection, and goes for $110 for a 30 milliliter. And last, Sandalwood and Oak by Sense of Wood. The notes in this are burnt sugar, smoked sage, pink pepper, gaiac, olibanum, iris root, sandalwood, vanilla, and musk. So I'm really picky about sandalwood, especially when it's not Mysore sandalwood, and I don't think this one is. But this, to me, is one of, if not the best sandalwood scents I've ever smelled. This is like sweet, dry, toasted woods, light, smoky edges, and really smooth, slightly peppery kick at the same time. Very rich, deep, undeniably high quality smelling, but also still very mass appealing. And I think this would definitely be like compliment pulling. Unisex, leaning slightly masculine to my nose in the opening. And then I would say this one is more like kind of solidly unisex by the dry down. Yeah, I think it would smell fantastic on just about anyone. Moderate to good longevity and moderate projection goes for $38 for a 10 milliliter spray or $240 for a 75 ml. And for all of these, I will link in the description where you can get a bottle or sample. As of having tried 3,500 or so fragrances as of recording this, I only make a list when I have enough organically that, like I keep track of like, oh, this should go on a best of whatever. And these are the only 5 right now that I feel that way about. I've tried so many great woodsy scents, but to me, there has to be something that like really grabs me. And for my taste, these are 5 really, really good ones. But yeah, and as mentioned, I'll link in the description where you can check them out. And I'd love to know if anybody else has ones that are your favorite woodsy scents.